some questions we can send to you, and you can answer them or discuss it in the discussion session. Okay, thank you very much.
So thank you all for listening to me.
Yes. So we can proceed to our next speaker. He's George Papamikhail. Dr. George Papamikhail is an innovation manager at the Foundation for Research and Technology, LAS Fourth, with more than 20 years of experience. He's the president of the board of directors and CEO of the Science and Technology Park of Crete, and also is the co-host of this webinar. The topic of his presentation is research-driven innovation to academic entrepreneurship. So, Ms. Papamikhail, thank you very much for your participation. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. I don't know if you can see my screen because I have different screens. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all for your participation in this joint training. It's a great pleasure to see people from different places. It's fantastic to see people from Brazil. So thank you very much. As said, my name is George Papamikhail. I'm the director of the Science and Technology Park of Crete, which is the business incubator of the Foundation for Research and Technology, Fourth. Fourth is the largest public sector research organization in the country, in Greece. And we also act as EURAXESS service center for the European Commission. Just a few things before I start. I'm a social scientist. I obtained my PhD from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland in science, technology, and innovation studies. And my research interests include regional development, innovation strategies, intellectual property rights, and startup and spin-off creation. The title of my presentation is From Research-Driven Innovation to Academic Entrepreneurship. I would like to start by sharing with you some very basic concepts about research, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with basic and applied research conducted in universities and research centers. Both of them are very important. In my opinion, both of them are equally important for research-driven innovation. And the percentages of basic versus applied research may be different across different institutions and research centers throughout the world. And this may happen because it depends on funding resources. We have seen that universities that have strong connections with the academic sector might be more, they are more interested in private in applied research compared to other universities, more traditional universities, or institutional focus and orientation, and of course, academic disciplines. Our experience suggests also that universities with traditional links with the industrial sector and the market are more able to conduct applied research comparing to others. And applied research is the one that we are interested in when we're talking about innovations for commercial success. And if these innovations are becoming successful, then we start talking about entrepreneurial endeavors and business activities that come out from academia, universities, and research centers. And actually, this is the so-called academic entrepreneurship, and I'm really happy that we have here Professor Ilias Karagiannis, who is an expert in this field, and he's going to talk about that later on in this session. So, put it simply, academic entrepreneurship is the process of turning academic and scientific knowledge into innovations for commercial purposes. And of course, this is not a straightforward process. It's really hard, it's time consuming, and most of the times it requires preconditions that should be put in place before all these efforts. Technology transfer strategies and clear policies about intellectual property rights is very important. And if we have these preconditions in place and they are effective, then we may have some patents as Mrs. Orfanou has already mentioned and covered that topic, which could lead to the creation of new companies, the so-called startup and spin-off companies. And this slide illustrates the connection between academia, universities, and research centers with the economy, with the society, and how universities may deliver societal value through the creation of new companies, startups, and spin-offs. You may be familiar that the only difference between startups and spin-offs is that in the second case, in the case of spin-offs, universities and research centers participate in the ownership. They hold shares of the startup company. Let me now just briefly give you some statistics about the global startup ecosystem. Here we can see two different figures. In the first one, we see the startup ecosystem ranking. This is in the period 2019-2023, and we see the usual suspects here, the performance of, we see that Silicon Valley is a great performer, followed by London and New York City, Los Angeles, Tel Aviv in Israel, and so on and so forth. So you can have a look here. And on the other graph, we see the top 20 countries by total startup output in 2023. What might be interesting here to mention is that 3 out of 10 countries throughout the world come from Europe, and these are the UK, Germany, and France. I'm not going to go in detail because we don't have enough time to discuss about that. Some other statistics, the most startup-friendly countries in the world, again, United States is ranked as the first country, UK, Canada, Israel. And what might be interesting here to mention is that the great performance of Portugal, which is ranked 26th out of 64, which is the total number of the countries that participated in this statistics, and it's impressive, I would say, because especially if we take in mind the size and the structure of Portugal, which is a small country comparing to other countries like, for example, India or the States or the UK. But let me just say a few words about why some universities are more likely to generate more startups than others. Here you can see some of the many, I would say, reasons. More research oriented than teaching focused universities. We have seen universities that have included in their ecosystem the notion of culture, the business culture. Other universities have successfully introduced programs, mentoring and entrepreneurial-minded educational programs for their students, and also mentoring, coaching, and this kind of programs that traditionally support not only the creation of startup companies, but also the development of these companies, especially in the early stage of their development. Universities with clear IPR strategies and policies, universities that and academic research centers that are geographically close to other structures that support academic entrepreneurship, like science parks, business incubators, and of course, this is very important when we're talking about effective technology transfer offices and this kind of structures. And of course, strong universities with strong connections with the industrial sector and the market. They follow the market trends, and they are very well connected with potential investors and other institutional organizations that can support startup entrepreneurship. And all these components, of course, among others, constitute what the so-called entrepreneurial university. Again, some statistics. The most innovative universities in Europe, according to another statistic report, is here you can see how European countries are performing. Germany, UK, France, Netherlands, Belgium, etc. Top universities for producing future entrepreneurs in Europe. Again, here, I have to say that it's interesting to see that just only 1 out of 10 universities is not a UK university. So 9 out of 10 universities come from the UK, which is interesting to mention. And similarly, the international picture here, again, just only 9 out of 10 universities come from the US, and only Tel Aviv University from Israel is a non-American university. Interesting. Now, if you ask me if startup companies usually fail or succeed, I'm afraid that I have to say that the odds are against us, against the startup companies, because experience suggests that, and not only experience, but also that data suggests that most of the companies or many of the companies fail, and they fail within the first 4 to 5 years. And most interestingly, more than 65 of them will never be able to deliver a positive return to investors if they have managed to find any during their lives. And here we see some success rates for first-time entrepreneurs, 18%. For those who have previously failed, a little bit better, 20%. And for entrepreneurs who had previously succeeded, this is 30%. And these statistics come from very well famous international institutions like Harvard Business Review, Forbes, Stanford, and others. But let me now discuss a little bit why startup companies usually fail here. I will discuss 5+1 reasons, and this is based on our own experience, but I think it aligns with what the international literature also suggests. One of the most important ones is that startup companies usually fail to invest in finding a very good and strong team that will be able to run the business. And this is a very important barrier, especially when these companies are trying to find funding, because investors are very much interested in finding startups with strong teams. This is happening in reality. We have seen that several times. Another reason is the nature of the academic startup itself. We have seen great academics, researchers with great research skills. But when it comes to business, we see that some of them, not all of them, but some of them really lack these entrepreneurial skills. And most importantly, they are not willing to leave their academic position. And it's really hard to have a double role at the same time, act as a researcher and as an entrepreneur. This is very difficult, especially when the company is growing. Another reason is the lack of market expertise and business mentality. Quite often we have seen researchers that they might have a great technology. They have invested a lot of time, a lot of effort in their technology. It might be great, this technology, but at the end of the day, the technology fails to meet any customer's needs or to solve an existing problem. Another reason is that the startups are not fully ready to get into the market. They may have the technology, they may have the team, but what is missing here is a very well-developed business plan, for example, that is absolutely critical to describe what these guys are going to do in the next few years. Another important reason is the lack of clear intellectual property rights. I mean, the startups themselves have failed to understand that the importance of intellectual property rights, so they don't really have a strategy, or they don't have a clear strategy. And what I can say is that all these four reasons, when they come together, constitute the sixth reason, which is one of the most important ones, which is the failure to raise sufficient capital. And speaking practically, this means that because of the previous five, but also other reasons, startups fail to persuade potential investors, provide money, because they fail to make these investors trust these startups. And okay, yes, but failure is always there. But is it something bad? I would definitely say no. It's not something that it's bad, and we should take in mind. We all know that failure will come one day, no matter how hard we try. This is part of the game. However, we all know, or we all should know, that failing does not mean that you are a failure, that's for sure. And what we have seen in the Science Park is that people have tried several times to start their own companies, and they fail and they fail again. And some of them, they have failed more than 5 times. But this is okay. Business success starts with failure, because they are getting more experienced. And of course, startups are more likely to succeed after failure. This is why many people used to say fail fast in order to succeed faster. And this is what I'm trying to say here. This is illustrated in this slide, which emphasizes the importance of continuous effort in overcoming challenges and achieving your business goal. Of course, this illustrates a linear approach, a simplified way, but I have to say that in practice, when it comes to practice, this is much more complex, of course. So starting the entrepreneurial journey, we often begin full of ambitions and hopes, but quite soon challenges arise. And then things don't always go as planned. For example, nothing went well, or nothing went well, or nothing went well, and we fail. But that's okay. And then we may try again, and we may fail again, because in this case, something went wrong, but that's okay again. This is part of the game. And here is a critical stage. You see the red line. That is either to keep trying to create a company or give up the overall effort. And if we decide to go on, we are more likely to succeed and finally manage to start a new business venture. But I have to say here that this is not the end, of course, of the story. This is just the beginning of a challenging, but at the same time, fascinating journey. And this process is a very dynamic process. We call it learning by doing process, because it's been enriched by experience, know-how, and new knowledge, which is very important. I'm sorry, I don't have time. I don't know how much time. Okay, it's too close.
You have 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, I have to run. So what happens when startups survive the first years? These startups could keep running and expand business internationally if they are good enough, and they concentrate the interest of other experienced and mature companies, could be merged or acquired by other top leaders in the market, or become highly valued companies, the so-called unicorns, datacorns, and hectocorns. What is a unicorn? It is a startup with a valuation over $1 billion. And here you can see a graph, the number of unicorns by countries in 2024. It's interesting to see the huge difference between US, China, and the other countries. Decacorns, rare examples is Uber and Revolt. Here we have startups with a valuation above 10 billion US dollars, and even more difficult, Tesla or Amazon as examples, hectocorns. They are startups with a valuation exceeding 100 billion US dollars. Okay, this slide shows some reasons why startups fail, even if they have managed to overcome the valley of death. But I'm afraid I don't have time, so I will have to skip it. And here I have some questions that you have to address in order to be able to address these problems. Okay, I will skip this as well. Here, intellectual property, this topic was covered very nicely and effectively by Feyor Fanu, so I will also skip this. Sorry about that, because we run out of time, so I have to skip this. I will stay a couple of minutes here. What are startup companies usually looking for? This is also based on our experience before the creation of the startup. Here we're talking about research groups that come from universities and academic from research centers, and what they are usually looking for. They are looking for people that they can support them in exploiting their research ideas through business mentoring schemes, and of course how to create the startup company or the spin-off company. And then they are looking for support in order to be able to manage their intellectual property, to protect and manage their intellectual property. And of course, always they are interested in training sessions that focus on entrepreneurial and this kind of stuff. And once the startup or the spin-off has been created, then again, they are looking for structures that they can host these institutions and get support, coaching, mentoring, and other services that have to do with their business development. Okay, I'll skip this as well. Okay, I will skip this. Okay, and I will close with two key slides that I would like to share with you. Top 5 points to keep in mind from my presentation. First, I would like to say that academic entrepreneurship is a complex and time-consuming process, but at the same time is a fascinating process. It's a fascinating journey. As we have seen, failure is crucial. It's a crucial learning step. It is part of the entrepreneurial process. No matter how hard we try, it will come one day, that's for sure. Startup entrepreneurship is a team sport, not a solo act. We're not talking about one-man show action. This is a collective effort, and startups should look support from experts and others that have experience in doing so. The importance of ecosystem, the ecosystem effect, strong support ecosystems tend to increase startup success. Those ecosystems that support infrastructures like, for example, science parks, business incubators that can support the creation of startup companies, but also their development and their aim, the so-called scaling up. Startups and spin-offs can become highly valued companies in the market. This is something that we have seen several times, as we said, unicorns. So if the startups are successful, and we have seen several startups, especially from universities and research organizations, startups that are knowledge-based companies and research-driven companies, to become very successful and very valuable for the economy and the society. And the secret of success is not a secret. We don't have secrets in order to be successful. My suggestion, based on my experience, is of course, to develop a strong business idea, to build an effective team. This is very important, and to stay focused on the business, on your goal or on your objective and initiative. And last but not least, having a great business idea is just the starting point of the entrepreneurial journey. Having a great idea is great, is very good, but it's not enough. You have to consider other issues and aspects that will help you develop this idea and turn this idea into a real commercial business. And I think I have to finish now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mikhail. It was a very good speech. So I would like to ask for anyone in the audience if they have any question, to set it here in the chat, so we can talk it over maybe in the discussion session.